How disappointing. Pope Francis has called for an investigation in his new book to determine if Israel's attack in Gaza constitute genocide. Should we be surprised? I mean, you'd kind of hope on the one hand that people who are the head of an institution that has been perhaps one of the worst forces against Jews for most of their history. I mean, just think of the many examples of the Catholic Church's persecution to Jews, whether it's the Spanish Inquisition, ghettos, blood libels, crusades. The list goes on and on. So one would hope that perhaps they would pause before they decide to engage in a campaign full of lies whose sole purpose is to target the Jewish people. That, unfortunately, is the Palestinian cause from its inception. That's not my take on it. That's not my spin on it. That's just what the history tells us. Just look into, don't even do that much. Spend half an hour researching the conflict, the leaders of the anti-Israel side, what they said they were actually after. So how sad that he's, I don't even want to say oblivious to this. I'm afraid it seems, maybe it's more sinister. I don't know. But this is what the AP News reported. Pope Francis has called for an investigation to determine if Israel's attacks in Gaza constitute genocide, according to excerpts released Sunday from an upcoming new book ahead of the Pontiff's Jubilee year. It's the first time that Francis has openly urged for an investigation of genocide allegations over Israel's actions in the Gaza Strip. In September, he said Israel's attacks in Gaza and Lebanon have been immoral and disproportionate, and that its military has gone beyond the rules of war. Well, yes, I can tell you that its military has gone beyond the rules of war. They've gone beyond the rules of war in the sense that Israel's military is doing way more than has ever been done in the history of modern warfare to protect non-combatants on the other side, on the enemy side. Gone way above what would be expected even in Jewish law. Jewish law would actually say, why should you be sacrificing your own soldiers' lives, whose lives are equally as valuable as anyone else's lives, for the sake of enemy non-combatants who are the ones that were the aggressors and started this war? Is he serious? Immoral and disproportionate? What would he rather Israel does? Does he have a solution? Any other alternative for Israel? Presumably he accepts Israel has to go after Hamas and Hezbollah. If not, well then he's beyond the pale. But presumably he does accept that Israel has to go after Hamas and Hezbollah. So he'll say, but it's disproportionate and immoral. Really? Israel's achieved a near 1-to-1 combatant to non-combatant ratio. I use the word non-combatant, by the way, because not everyone that's a non-combatant is an innocent civilian. There are plenty of non-combatants who are hiding munitions, entrances to Hamas tunnels, teaching kids to be martyrs, cooking food for Hamas terrorists. It's not that straightforward. But the key point is that Israel's had a stronger ratio in terms of targeting the combatants than any army has in the history of urban warfare. This is according to UN statistics. This is comparing Israel to America and Britain. So what do you want? What does he want? They say 40,000 killed in Gaza. How many of those are Hamas? Israel's sacrificing her own people in order to limit the amount of non-combatant casualties. And this is an approach, as I said, that is questionable. Not even appeasing people like the Pope. Not that our policy should be based on such a motivation, but just making the point. And they call it genocide. Israel goes to better lengths than any other country trying to just target the combatants, and they're accused of genocide. Meanwhile, it's Israel that's targeting the ones that are actually committing genocide. And in Lebanon, he says it's immoral and disproportionate. Israel wiped out or made sort of crippled most of Hezbollah's forces through the brilliant, ingenious pager attack, which meant that it was done in a way to avoid mass non-combatant casualty in Lebanon. Israel has showed unbelievable prowess, genius, skill, creativity in targeting just the militants and not the non-militants, more so than any other army and intelligence agency ever has, as far as I can see. When we went against ISIS, the Battle of Mosul, the combatant to non-combatant ratio was far higher. And yet, according to some experts, what is happening in Gaza has the characteristics of a genocide. The Pope said in excerpts published Sunday by the Italian daily La Stampa. I'm sorry, but this is an utter disgrace. The Pope is not a moral leader. If he can't see the basic morality of Israel's cause and what Israel's doing. I'm using strong words, but I don't really know what else to say. It's not just that he's not supporting Israel, but actively calling them genociders when they're going after genociders. It's unforgivable. It's really unforgivable. I saw a tweet of Senator John Fetterman saying, "I utterly reject the accusation of investigation in the strongest terms." There's a real crisis of moral leadership today. You know, I've been talking about how a lot of the Western secular idols and institutions are collapsing. Their moral vacuousness being exposed, whether it's government organizations, NGOs, celebrity culture, the media, sports culture, college campuses, Ivy Leagues. No wisdom. So, you know, you might expect me to say, well, we turn to religion. Well, even the great religious leaders and institutions are full of either extremism or moral perversion or utter moral confusion. I always try to excuse things like this, you know, with the Pope and whatever, but I have to say, given the Catholic Church's long history of anti-Jewish sentiment, and given how I would expect the Pope to be an intellectual that can understand basic moral principles, it's hard not to think there's something more sinister here. But either way, there's a crisis of moral leadership. But I do believe that there's a reason why that's happening simultaneously with this significant moment in Jewish history. Because as all these idols are collapsing, now is the time for the Jewish people and the Jewish moral voice to finally enter, which was always part of the great divine plan, for the Jewish people to be that voice of Sinai, to share the message of God's morality, our Creator's morality, with the entire world. No one else is providing that kind of moral leadership. It's now up to us to do it. If you've made it so far in this video, I have a request for you. JTV has been having a really big impact in spreading the truth about Israel and creating positive associations with the Jewish people, Judaism, and Israel. We've really grown a lot, particularly in the last year, and we're having a really significant impact, both for Jews and non-Jews. But I really want to take JTV to the next level so we can start to compete with the other big online media beasts that are often peddling anti-Israel content. And the way we're going to do that is to scale even faster. So I'd love to build a team where we have other presenters doing shows like me. Let's start doing documentaries, supplementary content, animated content, etc., etc. And to do that, I'd like to build a bit of a team. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one fundraising day, just one, where we try and build up some funding in order to fund such a team. Now, to do that, it's going to obviously require people to get involved. And I'm wondering if you would consider, if you're watching JTV content and appreciate what we do and want to help partner with us in taking this to the next level and spreading the truth farther and wider than ever before, I wonder if you'd consider partnering with us simply by running a mini page on the fundraiser that we do, where you just reach out to your contacts on that day that we choose to fundraise and see if they'll all chip in. If you'd be up for doing that, of which I would be so grateful, then please click on the Google form link in the video description of this video, where you can simply just put in a few contact details. It'll be a very small commitment, as I say, literally just one day that we'll all agree upon as a collective community. But the impact is going to be so big. There's such strength in numbers. If we all pull together and do this, we can take this to the next level. And as I say, all of us can partner together in bringing and spreading the truth to the whole world. So please do consider clicking on that link, filling in the form, and I'll be in touch very soon to talk about the next steps. Small commitment, but a big impact. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.